Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Gdaynamaste. Today's video is going to be another information based video, and I'm actually going to talk about my OCI process, or applying for my OCI. So to those people who don't know what an OCI is, it stands for the Overseas Citizens of India card. And it's something that I am eligible for 2 years after being married to an Indian citizen. So essentially it gives me all of the same rights as an Indian citizen, except for I'm not allowed to vote. And there's something else about owning property or land or something which I actually don't know. So after filming, I'll actually add something on the bottom here about the exact condition, because I don't remember it off the top of my head. But yes, it's a fairly lengthy process, a lot of documentation, and I'm going to go through what documents I needed. I will explain the interview process. So basically, the interview process itself is something quite new. So it's not something that we previously, people who were applying for an OCI before, had to do. So I'll go through the questions asked at the interview as well, the process after that, and I guess generally just how long it took for myself here. So I will be applying for the OCI through the Amritsar Foreigners Office. Even though there is a Foreigners Office in Mohali, the main kind of head branch for the state of Punjab is based in Amritsar, which means that we have to go all the way to Amritsar to do the interview, and when the OCI is ready, we have to go back to pick it up, which is a little bit inconvenient, but you have to do what you have to do. So I'll go through all of that. I will go through all of the documents that I was asked for. So on the actual application, it's an online application. So the website, I think, is www.ociservices.gov.in, but I will put it up on the screen here as well, and I'll put it in the description too. So the list they give you is only a partial list. So what happened was I applied online, I put in my application and uploaded the documents they asked for, and then what you have to do is actually call the main office and ask to book an appointment time. During that call, or maybe they'll say they'll call you back, they check your submitted documents, then they'll ask you for more documents that aren't on the list. So there's a lot of back and forth, but I've learned that that's pretty typical for here. The documents that I was asked for, those same documents you might not be asked for at a different foreigner's office. So again, this is just my experience with the Amritsar office, who, by the way, were very friendly and very helpful throughout this whole process. So I feel very, very lucky. So with all of the documents that I had to submit, they needed to be a photocopy, and I needed to have my signature at the bottom. So all of these, like all of the documents they asked for, I had to print a copy off, sign, then basically scan and upload to the application form. All of those copies that have the signature on them, you have to take with you for your interview, because you'll be physically lodging the application form at the office. So once this is all done, you'll get a PDF application form will be generated, and you actually need to print that off and take it with you. So they asked for my passport, my birth certificate, my current stay visa, and any previous visas as well. So your visa has to have at least 3 months expiry on it. Mine was just about to run out, so I had to renew my visa, and you can renew that for 3 or 6 months. You don't have to do a 12-month renewal. 3 or 6 months cost the same. So I just renewed my visa for 6 months. So they asked for my current stay visa plus any prior stay visa copies. So the one I had just renewed, and then the one before that, which was the conversion from my tourist visa to the entry visa. So they asked for all of those copies, all of the registration certificates that I'd had. The original visa I entered India on, which was my tourist visa. They also asked for a copy of the stamp, my entry stamp into India too. So even though I moved here in June 2019, we had traveled to Nepal at the end of September, And so I had to show that entry. When I came back from Nepal, that was technically my entry to India because I didn't leave again after that. So I had to show a copy of that as well. They also asked for copies of my parents' passports, I guess probably just to confirm their names because you have to put their names on the application form. So I think that's why they've asked for that. Someone I know, her parents don't have passports, so I think she just provided their ID. And I'm fairly sure that was sufficient enough. I also had to show my spouse or Sunil's passport front and back, his Aadhaar card front and back, our marriage certificate, and basically proof of residency. So if you are renting, you need the rent agreement as well as the ID proof of the owner. If you own the place or if your husband owns the place, then you need those kind of documents. That is basically all of the documents. You also need to go and get your photo taken. It needs to be 2 inches by 2 inches with a sky blue background with 75 plus face cover. So I originally used a photo with like a grey background because I thought sky blue was a bit strange. And I think my face cover was like 60%. I had to go and get it retaken, but I will put a copy of what my photo looked like up here with the sky blue background. And yes, so as discussed, all of those things need to be like self-attested at the bottom. When you're uploading, there's actually not specific, like it says like upload passport and then like the passport option, it's a drop down box, then you will upload your passport. But there's not a specific name for all of those documents, so you kind of just have to allocate them as whatever. What I did was though, I used a scanner app to put together all of my visa stuff, like all of my visa copies, all of my my registration certificate copies, my birth certificate and passport I think were in one as well. So I kind of just combined them so that they all fit. But you can always view what you've uploaded and delete them as well. And then, yeah, once they say that everything is correct, then you will they will give you an appointment. So yeah, usually it's the next available appointment. You might get lucky to try and negotiate a different time that's suitable for you and your husband to go. Yeah, like I said, we had to go to Amritsar, so we just had to try and find a time where my husband was free and was not busy with work for us to go because it was an overnight trip, pretty much. Payment wise, you have to get what's called a demand draft. So I will put up here what the demand draft looks like. I really hope I'm pointing in the right direction. And it's not like I'm actually sticking it there, but on the screen somewhere I will put what the demand draft looks like. They're very specific with the wording, so you will find on the application form and online the specific wording. I'll also put it up on the screen what you have to say. You can't use abbreviations, so I think it's Ministry of Home Affairs, Secretariat, something else. But you can't write MHA for short for Ministry of Home Affairs. They actually have to write the full name. So a demand draft is essentially like a check. And you can do that. I did it online through our bank, and then you can either pick it up from the same branch, or I think you can get it delivered home. So yes, Sunil just went and picked it up. It's 15,000 rupees, which is approximately 300 Australian dollars. As of filming this video, I've actually already done my interview in Amritsar, so I'm filming this after the fact. And I just kind of keep remembering things from the interview and also of during the process that I have just like forgotten about, but whatever. One of the most interesting things and exciting things actually was that I was always under the impression that you weren't allowed to travel abroad while your OCI was being processed. So you can't travel abroad while your police verification still needs to be done. That makes sense though, because they can just come at any time and you have to be here. But after the verification's done, you're allowed to travel on your current visa. So as long as you keep your visa valid, you can just come and go as much as you want, which I think is really, 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 really great. I haven't been home in 2.5 years, so yeah, very, very important to me that I have valid documents to travel. At the moment, my current visa expires in September. So yeah, if I don't have my OCI by then, all I have to do is just renew my visa for either 3, 6 or 12 months and there won't be any issues. Some of the information that I will be saying during this whole video might overlap because I am filming over a period of time. So I don't know, I can't remember what I've said in some of the other videos I've already made. Even though I just went to Amritsar last week, I kind of forget what some of the things I mentioned. So I do apologize in advance if it is a little bit repetitive, but I just, I have a lot of information to give about this this process, and I think it's a really, really important video to make because, yeah, as I will say later, I do know I said this, the interview process is a very new concept of OCI, and applying for the OCI is a little bit confusing in itself. So if I can help at least one person apply and make it a little bit easier, then I'll be happy. After this, you'll see my experiences in Amritsar, having the interview. Then after that will be the police verification, and then whenever the OCI is approved. So there will be sort of a timeline from when I applied to when I got the interview. Just to make a note that I actually did my application for my OCI back in January, and I had my interview in April. Again, there was just a lot of issues with the demand draft, and then also trying to find a time to go when Sunil was free. Things just kept happening and kept coming up last minute, which is very typical for India. So we finally managed to go to Amritsar after about 4 months. But I will stress that it wouldn't have taken very long to get the interview. Like when I had first applied for the application, I could have got an interview within a week. So it just depends on your location, but for me in Amritsar, I could have got the interview within a week. But yeah, there will be timelines as to how long the process took from my interview until the police verification, until it was then approved and issued to me. Good morning everyone. It is the 25th of April and I'm actually at the hotel waiting for breakfast before my OCI appointment. The Amritsar office looks after interviews with OCI for all of Punjab, Chandigarh, and I think Jammu Kashmir as well. So all of those interviews happen here. So yeah, I'll let you know how it goes after. Okay, so the hotel that we've stayed at is about 450 meters from the foreigners office, and it's actually quite cheap. I think like around 900 rupees for the night with breakfast included. So yeah, very, very convenient. Very convenient for the foreigners office. It's about, how far was it from the Golden Temple? Like 4 kilometers?
Yeah.
I think it was like 4 kilometers from Golden Temple, so we went there last night. But for the convenience of the foreigners office, it's very close, very cheap, and very, very comfortable beds actually. We had a really good night's sleep, so yeah, highly recommend this hotel actually. It's called Hotel California. Staff really nice and yeah, I don't really have any faults about it at all actually. Hey, we just reached the foreigners office. It's literally 3 minutes from the hotel. So yes, about to have the interview. Wish me luck. Okay, so I've had my interview. We had to go to the district court to get an affidavit filled out. Now we're on our way back to the foreigners office to get my biometrics done, so like thumbprint and other things. I'll update later with the questions they asked in the interview. It felt like some sort of exam, but we're in an auto, it's all very exciting and very hot. We're at the station now. Yeah, interview went fine. Finished with the affidavit that we had to get done from the courthouse. Went and took that back to the foreigners office, and then they did my biometrics. So took my photo, took my fingerprints, processed everything, took my gave me an application slip to say it's been processed. It's going to take like 2 to 3 months minimum, maybe 6, let's see. Once we're back in Chandigarh though, I'll probably do another video then talking about the questions they asked. I wrote it all down so I wouldn't forget, because there was a lot they went through in the interview. So I'll do that once we're back home and I'm comfy and I'm able to have a little bit of a breather, because it's so hot here and it's been a pretty fast 24 hours. Hi everyone. clearly I'm back from Amritsar now, and I just wanted to go through and explain the interview process that we went through. So both Sunil and I had to be interviewed for it, so he actually had to come with me. It wasn't something that I could just do by myself. So the office opened at 10:30, so they told us to get there at 10:30, which we did, right on 10:30, and outside of the office there was like a waiting area outside, undercover but still out in the open. So we sat down. On the way in there was a sign saying no phones, like phones needed to be turned off, or mobile devices had to be turned off. So we weren't using our phones, but then it was kind of like we were watching everyone go in and out, and other people were using their phones. So while we were waiting, we decided to use our phones. And then after about 30 minutes, Sunil said, "How long is this going to take?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know." So then he walked in and asked them, "Can we come in?" And they said, yeah, come in. So we'd been sitting there for 30 minutes waiting for them to come out to us, and we could have just gone in and asked, or like let them know that we were there. They could see us, mind you. They could see straight through the window, but anyway, it was all done. So it then took about 30 minutes to go through my file. So at the start of this video, I have gone through all of the documents needed. So I actually had to take the application form, which you print off once you complete the application online, and we needed copies of all of the documents we uploaded. So the documents we uploaded, well, I uploaded, I had my signature at the bottom, and so I had to take all of those, and I also had to take the originals for some documents too, like my passport, Sunil's passport, his Aadhaar card, my birth certificate. So I took all of that with me, and that took about 30 minutes to check everything off. Everything kind of has to be matching. So in one document, our address says the Kohli, and the other document, our address has the district or suburb as Kishanpura. They're both the same thing, but just different documents, different districts. So they kind of questioned that. I said it's the same postcode, it's the same area. So yeah, just make sure that all of your addresses are consistent across your documentation as well. Once that was finished, I got pulled aside to do my interview. Sunil was sitting outside waiting, and then at around halfway through my interview, he had his done. So that took around 20 or 30 minutes again. And they asked some very interesting questions. But luckily I was prepared, because a few days earlier, a girl that's in a Facebook group that I'm in as well, she had shared her experiences having her interview in Mumbai. So Sunil and I were able to prepare according to those questions. Because with the OCI, the interview part of it is only fairly new, I think either 1 or 2 years. It's not something that has been around forever. So for most of the people that I know that have gotten married in the last 2 years or so, this is all a very, very new feature for all of us. We sat down, and the interviewer had maybe 3 A4 sheets stapled together with different questions on them, which she wrote the answers in. But then she also asked some questions that weren't written on there, like kind of for me to elaborate as well. So after my interview, I quickly pulled out my phone and wrote all the questions down in notes so I could do this video. The very first question that we were asked is how we met. So we went through the process of how we met. I almost said I just did a YouTube video on this recently, but I didn't. So yes, how we met, where we traveled together before marriage and also after marriage, spouse, parents' age, so my in-laws' age and their occupation. Sunil was asked the same about my parents, siblings, their age and occupation, or if they're not working, what do they do? Spouse current occupation, and what they did before. So I knew that Sunil had studied and got his degree, but I didn't know the name of his degree. I didn't know the name of the place he was working at because since I've known him, he's been doing his own business. So I just said, oh, he was doing this kind of job and he studied, but I don't know what else. But yeah, so that was something I wasn't actually prepared for. I didn't know that they would ask the previous occupation from before his current one. They asked when and where we got married, common or mutual friends, so people that we're both friends with, their age, their occupation, how we met them, and their phone numbers. So Very interesting question, because we weren't supposed to have our phones on, but I was able to check my phone. And yeah, Sunil and I had the same answers for both of those. I don't know, as of filming, I don't know if they actually do some sort of reference check or call the mutual friends. I don't really know why they were asking that question, but they asked it and we gave the details. They also asked what my parents do, who my spouse trusts the most out of friends and family. So yeah, Sunil also got asked those same questions. My occupation before moving, my hobbies, my spouse's hobbies. Some questions that weren't on the list that she kind of asked when we were just casually talking was, has my spouse ever visited my home country? And actually one of the very, very first questions she asked was, how have I adjusted in India? So yeah, I think that was one of the first informal questions that wasn't on the sheet, but it was something that I was asked. And I have spoken to a few other people too who also got asked that question, how I adjusted or am adjusting in India. So once that was all done, we then had to go and do the affidavit, which you would have already seen. So we went and got that done about 2 kilometers away, came back, got my biometrics done, so the photos and fingerprints. And now we are just waiting for the police verification. So someone should come, someone from the police station should come to our house, check everything here. And then I think from memory, because we had to do this for my visa as well, I have to get statements and ID from either neighbors or people that know us to say that I live here. So I will do a video again, or update, to continue on to this video once that happens.
Hi everyone, OCI update. So this is obviously following on from everything you've already watched. Today is the 31st of August. I did actually forget to record after my police verification, so I wrote it down. Luckily I remember it all from writing it down. But as you would know, I had my interview on the 24th of April. On the 2nd of May, I actually got a call from the Zirakpur police station, which is like the main district police station in my area, asking what locality we live in, and that they were going to transfer my file to that smaller police station for the police verification. So then on the 5th of May, the same day I was actually picking my mum up from the airport, the police came over to do the verification. It was really quick. It took maybe like 20 minutes. He just checked my registration certificate, so the document from the Foreigners Office, our rent agreement. So we actually own this place, but it's taken a really long time to transfer the documents into Sunil's name. So while it's processing and it's still in the old owner's name, we have a rent agreement. So he just checked that rent agreement. He checked, he got a copy of my passport too. After that, he hand wrote a statement, confirming all of the details. And then him and Sunil went down to 2 of my neighbors and got them to sign the statement. And that was kind of it. So again, it's a very, very different experience to what a lot of other people had with their police verifications. Like one of my friends in India, she had a very different experience to me, and they asked to check a lot more documents. So yeah, it's going to be different, I think, wherever you apply for. And 24th of August, my OCI was approved. So that was a week ago today. The documents have been printed. So what happens now is after they've been printed, it gets sent from Delhi to Amritsar, and then I have to go and pick it up from Amritsar. So I will update again when we go to pick it up, and we'll also kind of advise timelines on how long it took to get printed. Sorry, from when it was printed to when it left Delhi to when it arrived in Amritsar. So I officially have my OCI, and it took pretty much exactly 4 months. So not including when I filled out the application, but from 4 months from when I had my interview to when it was approved online, that is the process.
Hi everyone, I'm in Amritsar, and guess what? Oh, it's upside down. I got it. So it took exactly a week to get from Delhi to Amritsar. It arrived in Delhi last Friday. I can't remember the date. I'll put a screenshot up of the tracking of how long everything took. Then I called them, and I actually had to make an appointment to come and collect it. and they didn't have any appointments for a week. So I had to wait a whole week, but that's okay. It's now Monday the 19th. So Sunil, his sister, and I came up last night. We spent the day here. This morning we went and collected it. It was very easy. When you have your interview and you do your application, they give you a confirmation slip. So I just had to show them that and my passport. And yeah, then they brought it out. So very quick, very easy. No more visas, no more foreigners officers. And I can skip visa queues when I eventually travel in and out of India. So if you have watched this far, thank you so much. I've been filming this over a period of 4 months pretty much. So yeah, if you have any other questions, write them in the comments. I will again also say that everyone I have spoken to who has gone through this process in India has had a very mostly similar experience, but a lot of things are different. So this has been my experience, the documents I was asked for, the questions I got asked for the Amritsar office in Punjab. Whether someone else going to the same office has the same experience, I don't know. But yeah, this is sort of my experiences. And like, for example, I have a friend in Hyderabad and her OCI was approved like a week after mine, and hers only took 3 months. And then I spoke to someone else who's in Delhi and hers took a year. So yeah, everyone has very different experiences, but I think most of the questions that I've put in here that they asked me in the interview is pretty consistent. So yeah, if you have any other questions, write them in the comment box or comment section, sorry. And yeah, congratulations to me.